Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to part 2 of the gift of choice that we were given. And yeah, let's get into it. Now, just to recap, someone has quantified the way we make choices, and on average, they reckon that we make 7,500 choices a day. So it would stand to reason that if we were going to have an amazing life, we would make more good choices than bad, or more positive than negative. So let's get into part 2 on, well, here's the challenge. We're always given a challenge. We then have a look at the consequences and then make our choice from what we are willing to live with in terms of our consequences. So the next bit is, well, how do we make choices? Well, there is 5 ways that we make choices, and let's see if you can guess some of them, okay? Oftentimes we make, so number 1, we make intentional choices, all right? These are ones where we are so intentional, and this is where we weigh up the pros and the cons, okay? Oh, there's a bit of things there. So pros and cons, okay? So we make that up. The second one that we do, well, what's opposite to that? If it's not intentional, what is it? Well, it's reaction. And this is one that we mainly make decisions and choices on, is reacting. We react to a challenge, and then it seems that we keep living our lives literally going from crisis to crisis to crisis, right? So number 2 is in reaction. Okay. Now, number 3, what do you think of this one? Now, COVID was a big one. When the governments have said you need to lock down, then we lock down, right? Which means number 3 is someone else makes a decision. So someone else makes a decision, and then we have to minimize the consequences of someone else's decision that affects us. All right. So that's 3. The 4th one, well, this is about procrastination. Okay. About procrastination. Right. So number 4 is the fact that we delay until we have to. Okay, so we delay, we procrastinate in making a decision until we can't delay it anymore, and then we start having to make it, right? And the last one, which is number 5, is no decision. Okay, and no decision is still a decision. You are deciding not to decide. So it's still a decision in that case. All right. So that is it. That's the 4 ways that we make decisions and choices. Now, I kind of asked the question, like, when we are in high emotion, all right, so when we are triggered, when we're angry, when we're frustrated, all that sort of stuff, where is logic when we are in high emotion? Well, logic has gone out the window. Yeah. So which one of these 5, I'll get out the way so that you can see which one of these 5 is done in high emotion. Okay. Well, reaction, definitely reaction. Okay. That's done in high emotion. Now, if someone else is making the decision, are you in high emotion when you have to deal with the fallout of that, the consequences of that? So, oh yeah, if someone else is making the decision, we're in high emotion. What about delay? Well, if we're delaying, then we have to, then it's sort of like, okay, we've got no choice, and so therefore we have to make a decision quickly. So therefore, we're in high emotion. There's another one. And decision, no decision, Well, if we're choosing not to decide, we're in high emotion because we have no idea what we want to do in terms of this. So no decision is done in high or made in high emotion. So of the 5 ways that we make decisions, there is only one that uses logic, and that one is intentional, being able to weigh up the pros and the cons, right? Does that make sense, guys? So if we need to weigh up the pros and the cons, then we have to have some sort of process with which to make good decisions. And so we have it, what I call the decision process, right? And there is 8 ways. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, 8 ways. So let's think about a decision. Let's do a quick an example of if you and your partner were choosing to go on a holiday for next year, then this would come into place. Guys, when we do this, if we're making our own decisions in terms of the me side of things, then we probably need to do this decision process, but not as stringent. It is only when you need to make a decision with someone else, be it your partner, be it at work or anything like that, is where this process starts to kick in, right? So for number 1, what is the first one? Well, we're given a challenge. The challenge is we need to decide on a holiday destination. So what's number 1? Well, the number 1 is the consequences that we want to have. So at the end of this decision process, we will know where we're going to have a holiday destination. And let's say we're either going to have it here in Australia, or whether we're going to go have it an overseas holiday, for example. So there's your 2 decisions that we need to make. Is it going to be here in Australia or in your local, kind of area or interstate or something like this, or we're going overseas for a holiday? And then the where becomes the next decision process, right? So it's been involved, but if you're doing this, you're going to make some awesome decisions. So number 1 is that we want to have the consequences, which is we have to define the best outcome, right? And the best outcome is that we're going to have a decision made for us, or decision that we are going to make that we're happy with. Now, number 2. Well, number 2 is about we have to consider all the options. Okay? All the options. Whether it be good, whether it be bad, whether it be positive, whether it be negative, doesn't matter. We've just got to brain dump all the options of going overseas or of staying here in Australia or staying locally. Okay? Then the next one underneath that would be we have to then write the positives or negatives of each option. Okay, can you see that? We have to write down the positive or the negative of each option. Okay, now what's next? Well, once we've got the positive and the negative, then we have to weigh them up. We have to weigh them up, rank them, prioritize them, and put them in some sort of order. Right? Is this correct? All right, number 5 then means about we've got to select the best. And selecting the best means that for going overseas for a holiday, we've got to have our yes column, our maybes column, and our no column. For staying in Australia, it might be we need to have a yes column, a no column, and a maybe column, right? And we've got to weigh them up. Once we've weighed them up, and we can sort of see what is going to be best for our budget, whether it's going to be best for our circumstances at the time, then the number 6 is then implement. Okay, we've got to implement then, which means, just say that we're going now to stay in Australia, because of maybe lack of funds to go overseas, even though we'd like to go overseas. Maybe it's going to see family. Maybe it's, whatever it is, we need to, then implement, make a then choice. Now, 7 and 8 is basically to monitor it, right? Seeing if it's going okay. And then the last one is review. And review means, well, we might have extra added information that we didn't know we had before. Maybe we sort of won the lottery, so now we've got the funds, and maybe then going overseas is a good option, right? Does that make sense? That you didn't know before. And if that is so the case, we then go back to number 1 and do the whole thing again, in terms of, now if we're going overseas, where do we want to go? Okay, so we want to pick our 4 favorite countries, and then do the whole process again. All right, so there you have it, guys. This is how to make. Do you do this with your partner? And because if you did that, you're both inputting, you're both making a decision, and you're both invested in the outcome and the decision process. So nobody gets hurt or anything like that. So, guys, I hope you've enjoyed our 2 parts of the gift of choice. And remember, making more good choices and positive choices means that, you guys are going to have the most amazing, fabulous life. And that's what it's all about. All right. So ciao for now, and see us on the next time. And don't forget, or please remember that on the 19th of October, I'm going to look at conflict. How do we get in conflict? This is going to be a long webinar. How do we deal with conflict? And how do we end up resolving issues so that we can then make some amazing decisions. So there you have it, guys. Remember, and tell your friends, comment, like, share if you've liked this, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.